Welcome, deep divers. Have you ever found yourself thinking, ugh, math science, I'm just not wired that way? Or maybe some people are born with that kind of brain and others definitely aren't. It's a belief, well, a lot of us carry, right?
Yeah, it's super common, a kind of quiet resignation that, our destiny in certain subjects is just fixed.
But what if I told you that notion is, well, entirely up for debate? What if you could fundamentally change how your brain approaches those subjects, not just grasp them, but actually enjoy it?
That's exactly what we're diving into today. This is all about giving you almost like an instruction manual for your own brain.
Okay, I like that.
Your mind has these amazing, almost limitless capabilities, but yeah, it didn't come with a user's guide, did it?
Definitely not. Wish it had.
So we're digging into material that provides just that, a really practical research-backed handbook for unlocking your cognitive potential, especially in areas like math and science that, let's face it, many find kind of daunting. Think of it as your personal toolkit for becoming a more effective and maybe even a more joyful learner.
And our main source for this mind-bending journey is pretty inspiring, actually. We're pulling insights from A Mind for Numbers by Barbara Oakley.
Right. Great book.
And what's amazing is Oakley's own story. She calls herself a math phobe, actually admits she flunked her way through high school math and science.
Yeah, it's quite the turnaround.
Totally. And yet, she went on to become this distinguished professor of engineering. Her journey, it's just powerful proof that being good at this stuff isn't something you are, it's something you become.
Absolutely. It's about understanding and using specific learning strategies.
So our mission today is to equip you, the listener, with these practical, research-backed techniques, stuff that'll help you learn more effectively, sure, but also genuinely enjoy the process more.
Yeah, turning that confusion into real, satisfying understanding. We'll look at some surprising facts about how your brain works, delve into some fascinating neuroscience.
And hopefully keep it engaging, right? Not too dry.
Definitely. We'll try for just enough humor to keep you hooked. Get ready to discover how you can actively sculpt your own learning journey. Literally, like, rewire your brain for greater success.
Okay, let's unpack this straight away. To really get how we learn, we first need to understand, well, the basics of our own minds. And the book points to something really profound. Our brain operates in two incredibly distinct modes of thinking, not just different processes, but like different states. Can you walk us through these?
Yeah, absolutely. So the core idea is that our brain flips between two very different ways of thinking, the focus mode and the diffuse mode.
Focused and diffuse.
And both are absolutely essential for learning effectively, especially with complex stuff. The focus mode is what you're doing when you say you're concentrating. It's direct, rational, sequential, analytical.
Like step-by-step problem solving.
Exactly. But then there's the diffuse mode, and that's more about the big picture, getting new insights, making connections between different ideas. It's often where creativity and those aha moments happen.
So if I'm sitting down trying to solve a specific calculus problem, following the steps meticulously, that's focused mode.
Precisely. Think of the focus mode like a really tight, penetrating flashlight beam.
Okay.
When you zero in like that, your prefrontal cortex, that bit right behind your forehead, your brain's sort of command center, it's working hard. It's built for that sequential, analytical thinking.
Right.
If we use a pinball machine analogy, the book suggests it's like a tight machine. The bumpers are close together, thoughts bounce around in a familiar, established pattern. You're trying to follow a known path, basically.
I can definitely relate to that, especially trying to follow like a complex argument or detailed instructions, but then the diffuse mode, it sounds less like a laser beam and more like a floodlight.
Yeah, much less structured. It's like a broad, scattered light. It's not tied to one specific brain area. It lets your mind wander, connect different parts of the brain in new ways.
Okay.
And this mode often kicks in when you step away from the problem you're focusing on.
So not when you're trying harder.
Right. Think of Henri Poincaré, the famous 19th century mathematician. He'd been wrestling with this super complex problem for weeks, just couldn't crack it. So he takes a vacation, stops thinking about math entirely, and then, as he's stepping onto a bus, bam, the solution just appears, suddenly, unbidden.
Whoa. Just like that.
Just like that. He wasn't actively trying. His diffuse mode was working powerfully in the background, making connections he couldn't force consciously.
That's incredible. So if focused mode is the tight pinball machine, diffuse mode is like a really spread out one, where the ball travels way further, hits different bumpers, makes these unexpected connections.
Exactly. The diffuse mode allows for those wider, more creative leaps, which, raises a pretty interesting question. Why do we have two modes? What's the evolutionary advantage?
Is it like that bird analogy in the book? The bird pecking for food needs intense focus, right?
Hmm.
But it also needs to scan the horizon for predators, which is more like
Hmm.
broad awareness.
Yeah,
Diffuse.
that's a perfect analogy. That division of labor helps the bird survive,
Whoa.
find food, but don't get eaten.
Makes sense.
And in humans, we see a subtle division too. The left hemisphere of the brain seems a bit more linked to focused attention, sequential stuff, logic. The right hemisphere may be more tied to that diffuse scanning, social interaction, emotions, big picture processing.
It's not like a strict left brain, right brain thing, though, is it?
No, no, it's much more complex than that old pop psychology idea.
Yeah.
But there are definitely tendencies that support this kind of dual mode system working together.
So really effective learning isn't about just being good at focusing. It's about this dynamic interplay, like a constant volley back and forth between the two.
That's exactly it. For difficult problems, learning effectively involves this constant flickering or volleying between focused and diffuse. And here's the crucial thing. When you're consciously focusing really intently on a problem,
Yeah.
you're essentially blocking the diffuse mode. You can't access it easily when you're hyper-focused.
Oh. So trying harder isn't always the answer.
Right. It highlights why strategic breaks are so critical. You can't force diffuse thinking. You have to allow it to happen by stepping away, letting your mind wander a bit.
Okay, this brings us to something that can be a huge roadblock if we're not careful. The Einstellung effect. Sounds like a mental trap.
It really is.
Yeah.
Einstellung. It's basically when an existing idea or your very first thought about how to solve something prevents you from finding a better solution.
So you get stuck on your first approach.
Yeah. It's like you install a mental roadblock because of how you initially looked at it, and then you just keep hitting that same wall. Think of chess players.
Okay.
They might get fixated on one line of attack and completely miss a much better move, even if it's right there. Their focus mode is so locked onto that first path, it blinds them to other possibilities.
And math and science, they can be especially tricky here, right? Because they're so abstract. It's not like seeing the word COW and picturing a cow.
Precisely. The abstract symbols, the encrypted nature of equations. It means it takes extra practice for those mental pinball bumpers to sort of harden, for thoughts to bounce correctly. This abstractness makes it easier to get stuck in that Einstellung rut, just replaying the same wrong approach over and over.
So the solution, or part of it, is switching modes.
Exactly. Switching to diffuse mode is a powerful way to break free. It lets your mind come at the problem from completely fresh angles. You got to shake up those pinball bumpers, you know?
This struggle, this getting stuck, it makes that idea of befuddlement seem really important. The book quotes Kenneth Leopold, "Befuddlement is a healthy part of the learning process."
Absolutely. And this is a huge realization for many people. If you're confused, that's not a sign you're failing. It's actually a sign you're right on the edge of figuring something out.
That's so counterintuitive, especially if you're used to things coming easily.
Right. Many students, especially bright ones, get discouraged by confusion. They think it means they're not cut out for the subject. But Leopold says, no, being confused is normal. It's necessary for real learning. The whole process is about working your way out of that confusion.
So embrace the befuddlement.
Totally. Lean into it. Don't get frustrated. Trying to figure out what you don't understand often leads you straight to the answer. It means your brain is actively building new connections, not just soaking things up passively. That's real learning. So for you, the listener, it's okay not to get it immediately. That struggle is where the growth happens.
That is a huge aha moment right there, turning frustration into a signpost.
Okay, let's try to feel the shift for our now you try moment. Here's a little puzzle from the book. Imagine 6 coins arranged in a triangle pointing up.
Okay.
Your challenge: make a new triangle that points down, but you can only move 3 coins.
Okay. Only 3 coins pointing down.
Don't overthink it. Seriously, if you focus too hard, that Einstellung thing might kick in. You'll get stuck on obvious but wrong ideas. It's funny, the book says some kids get this instantly, while really smart professors can give up.
Yeah, because it requires that sort of inner child thinking, that diffuse mode approach.
So take a moment, listeners. Let it sit in your mind. Maybe pause the recording. Try it. Or just let it percolate. The answer often pops up when you relax. Stop trying so hard. Let your diffuse mode see the pattern differently.
That's a great little illustration. So, okay, we understand these 2 modes exist, but how do we actually, intentionally use them? How do we go from knowing this to actively using it to learn better?
Right. It's about techniques. And one of the most critical strategies is taking strategic breaks.
Which sounds counterintuitive when you feel like you need to cram.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But this is how you deliberately activate your diffuse mode. Like we said, you can't force insights, but you can create the right conditions for them. Give your brain the space and time to work in the background.
And the book mentions Howard Gruber's 3 Bs, the bed, the bath, or the bus, places where ideas often pop up.
Yeah, those are classic examples, places where your mind relaxes and wanders, letting that diffuse mode shine. And then there's that amazing story about Thomas Edison,
Oh, yeah, the ball bearing trick.
right? When he was stuck on a tough problem, he'd sit in a chair holding a ball bearing. As he drifted off to sleep, that kind of twilight state where diffuse thinking is really active,
Uh-huh.
the ball bearing would fall, hit a plate, make a noise, and wake him up. Just enough to capture those fleeting diffuse insights before they disappeared. Salvador Dali apparently used a similar trick.
Wow. It's like hacking your own subconscious.
Kinda. And it's not just for geniuses. It's a technique anyone can sort of adapt to tap into that deeper creativity.
So, beyond trying to nap with ball bearings, what everyday things help us get into diffuse mode?
The key is doing something that uses other parts of your brain without intense focus on the original problem. Going for a walk is a big one. Alexander Williamson, that chemist, found a solitary walk was worth a week in the laboratory.
A whole week. Wow.
Yeah. Other great options. Playing a sport, dancing, drawing, listening to music, maybe instrumental meditating, even simple chores like cleaning or washing dishes. Anything that lets your mind drift away from the focused task.
So, scheduling this playtime, this downtime, it's not a luxury, it's essential for learning.
Absolutely essential. Treat it like a crucial part of your study plan. As important as the focus sessions, it lets the mortar between your neural bricks dry,
Mm.
right? Strengthening those connections for the long haul.
Okay, makes sense. So, we know how to use the modes. Now, how do we make sure what we learn actually sticks? This brings us to chunking, which sounds like building mental Lego blocks.
That's a good way to think about it. Chunking is absolutely foundational for getting good at any complex subject. A chunk is basically a piece of information or a concept or even a procedure that gets bound together through meaning and lots of use.
Oh.
Think of it like taking a huge complicated computer file and zipping it into one single easy-to-handle .zip file.
Okay, I get that.
Underneath that simple chunk is this whole symphony of neurons that have learned to fire together perfectly. Once you've chunked an idea, you don't need to remember all the fiddly details every time. You just grab the chunk.
And that frees up mental energy.
Exactly. It frees up your working memory for other things.
Yeah.
It's that feeling when something complex suddenly clicks and becomes one simple idea you can use. Like you don't think about every muscle movement when you decide to get dressed.
Yeah.
That's a chunk.
Okay, so it makes your brain more efficient. There's that fascinating story in the book about Solomon Cherishevsky, the guy with the perfect memory.
Oh yeah, incredible story. He could recall speeches, word for word, lists, everything. Perfect recall.
But he struggled with concepts like continental drift.
Right. He struggled to grasp the meaning, the big picture. Why? Because he couldn't link all those individual memory bits into conceptual chunks. He just had endless unconnected details.
So raw memorization isn't enough.
Not for true understanding, no. Chunks need meaning to be useful. Otherwise, it's just a jumble of facts without connection or application. Useless, really, for problem solving.
So how do you actually build a chunk? What are the steps?
Okay, there are basically 3 key things. First, focused attention. You absolutely need to concentrate, tune out distractions, really grapple with the new material initially.
Right. Got to engage that focused mode first.
Second, understanding. Understanding is like the superglue that holds the memory traces together. It links the different parts of the chunk, connects it to other things you know. Without understanding, the chunk doesn't make sense. It's just isolated.
Okay, focus, then understanding. What's third?
Third is context and practice. This is where you use the chunk. You practice applying it in different situations. You see how it fits into the bigger picture. This helps you know when and how to use that chunk effectively. Practice, practice, practice in different contexts.
The book talks about top-down and bottom-up learning being important here. How do they fit together?
Yeah, both are vital. Top-down is getting the big picture first, like skimming a chapter or listening to a lecture overview. It gives you the framework, the map, like getting the edge pieces of a jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, seeing the whole outline.
Then bottom up is filling in the details, building those individual chunks and placing them correctly within that big picture framework you already have. You need both to really embed knowledge deeply and flexibly.
Gotcha. And there's that really inspiring story about Paul Kruchko, the veteran with a traumatic brain injury. He struggled with fractions, but ended up getting engineering degrees.
Paul's story is amazing. He was told he couldn't even handle basic fractions after his injury. But he used these principles. He strategically primed his mental pump, reading ahead before lectures, reviewing notes right after, even for short bursts.
So he was consciously building those chunks piece by piece.
Exactly, especially under time pressure. His disciplined approach, read ahead, attend, review, immediately built that strong foundation. It shows it's not about innate talent, right? It's about using smart, structured, patient practice. He overcame huge challenges.
Okay, technique 3. The power of recall and spaced repetition.
This one seems like it challenges how a lot of students study, like just rereading notes over and over.
Oh, it absolutely does. And it's so important. Just rereading creates this powerful but totally false illusion of competence.
Illusion of competence.
Yeah. When you reread material, it becomes familiar. Your brain goes, oh yeah, I know this. It feels easy. So you think you've learned it well.
But you haven't really stored it.
Not deeply, no. You've just recognized it. There's research by Jeffrey Karpik showing students mostly reread, even though it gives minimal benefit compared to testing yourself.
It's like seeing the answer to an anagram, right? Like, me, radium ace.
Yeah.
If you see the answer, Madame Curie, right away, you think, oh, I'm good at anagrams. But
Yeah.
you didn't solve it.
Exactly. That aha feeling tricks you. The real antidote is retrieval practice. Active recall.
Meaning?
Actively trying to remember the material without looking. Close the book, look away, try to pull the main ideas out of your own head. Write them down, say them out loud.
This effort is what builds the strong neural hooks, the pathways that make memories stick and easy to find later. Doing this within a day of learning something new is really effective. It's like lifting weights for your brain. Rereading is like looking at the weights.
Okay, good analogy. So it's not just if you repeat, but how and when. That's where spaced repetition fits in.
Crucial. You need to space out those recall sessions. Don't just test yourself once, do it again later, then maybe a few days later, then a week later. Spreading it out over time is way more effective than cramming it all in one go.
Like building that brick wall analogy, the mortar needs time to dry between layers.
Perfect. Cramming's just piling up wet bricks. It looks like something for a moment, but it collapses. There's no long-term structure. Even William James, back in 1890, knew this active repetition is better than passive.
It really makes sense when you put it like that. And there was that fun bit about magical math marination, students studying before bed and dreaming about it.
Yeah. That's the diffuse mode working during sleep. If you review material right before sleeping, you increase the chances your brain will actually rehearse and process it while you sleep.
Seriously.
Seriously. It helps consolidate memories, turns them into easier to grasp chunks. Your brain does some heavy lifting for you while you rest. As long as you did the focused work beforehand to plant the seeds, you know.
Our brains are amazing. Okay, technique 4, memory tricks. The book says we have supersized visual and spatial memory. What does that mean for learning?
It means we're naturally brilliant at remembering places and images. Think about it evolutionarily. Our ancestors needed to remember the path home, where the good berry bushes were, not abstract formulas.
Right, survival depended on it.
Exactly. So our brains are hardwired for visual spatial stuff. Memory experts tap into this. They say anyone can do it because it's leveraging a built-in strength. So making things visual, memorable, even weird,
Yeah.
it massively boosts recall, even for abstract concepts.
So for you listening, don't just reread. Test yourself. Actively recall. Space it out. That's the brain's gym workout. Building on that, what are some really effective memory tricks we can use?
Okay, one of the oldest and most powerful is the memory palace technique.
The memory palace. Sounds grand.
It's pretty cool. You pick a place you know really, really well, your house, your walk to work, whatever. Then you mentally place vivid, memorable images of the things you want to remember in specific locations within that place.
Make for a grocery list.
Yeah. Imagine a giant bottle of milk blocking your front door, maybe squirting milk everywhere. Then you walk inside and there's bread lounging on your sofa watching TV. Then an egg is dribbling yolk off the coffee table.
Okay, vivid is key. Maybe even a bit weird.
The weirder, funnier, more multi-sensory the image, the better it sticks. What does it smell like? Sound like? Feel like? The more hooks, the better.
Yeah.
Studies show people using this can remember like 95% of a 40 or 50 item list after just 1 or 2 mental walks. Try it. It's surprisingly effective.
Wow, 95%. That's impressive. Beyond images, what about metaphors and analogies?
Hugely important. They help you grasp difficult ideas by linking them to something you already understand. like thinking of electric current as water flowing in a pipe, or voltage as the water pressure.
Or limits in calculus being like a runner getting infinitely close to the finish line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Richard Feynman, the physicist, was famous for this. His whole thing was, if you can't explain something simply like, so your little brother could get it, you don't really understand it yourself. That's the Feynman technique. Santiago Ramon y Cajal, the neuroscientist, he personalized concepts, imagined cells as living creatures. Einstein imagined himself as a photon. These creative leaps help break that Einstein effect too, open up new ways of seeing things.
Making the abstract concrete, super helpful. Any other quick practical tips for making things stick?
Yeah, a few more quick ones. Meaningful groups and abbreviations. Grouping stuff makes it easier. Like, remember the plants to ward off vampires? Garlic, rose, hawthorn, mustard. Think GRHM. Maybe you remember it as graham cracker.
Yeah.
Silly, but it works.
Huh.
Okay. Handwriting and talking aloud.
Mm-hmm.
Actually writing things out by hand uses muscle memory, strengthens the neural trace. Some profs notice students retain more when they switch from typing notes to handwriting. In reading stuff aloud problems, formulas used in another sense helps lodge it in your brain.
Okay, good tips.
And exercise, don't forget the physical. Regular exercise literally improves memory and learning. It helps create new neurons, new pathways. Good for the body, great for the brain.
All great stuff. But there's one more piece that often gets sacrificed when people are stressed about learning. Sleep.
Oh man, sleep is so critical. It's not passive downtime. It's an active part of learning. While you sleep, your brain is busy cleaning house.
Cleaning house.
Yeah, it clears out toxins, erases trivial bits of memory, but strengthens the important stuff. It rehearses the tricky things you learned, solidifying those neural patterns. And crucially, sleep helps your brain make new connections, solve problems. It's like your conscious mind steps aside and other parts of the brain start chatting and figuring things out.
So that magical math marination by studying before bed, it's real.
It really helps. It boosts the odds you'll dream about it, which helps consolidate memories into those useful chunks. But the warning stands. A sleep-deprived brain just cannot learn effectively. 1 hour studying rested is way better than 3 hours exhausted. All-nighters, they basically sabotage your preparation.
Okay, message received. Sleep is non-negotiable. Right, let's shift gears to obstacles, things that derail us. Procrastination has to be number one for many people. The book calls it a zombie habit.
Good name for it, right? Because it's this automatic, unthinking response. Zombie mode kicks in. And why?
Yeah.
We procrastinate on things that make us feel uncomfortable. Brain scans actually show, for people who dislike math, it's not doing the math that lights up pain centers. It's just thinking about doing it. The anticipation of the task is painful.
So we avoid the anticipated pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that avoidance gives us this immediate temporary relief, which is a reward. So the habit gets reinforced. Like Rita Emmett said, the dread of doing a task uses up more time and energy than doing the task itself.
That hits home. So it's a keystone bad habit, the book says. Changing it can help lots of other areas.
Yeah, it often ripples outwards positively. Like any habit, it has that loop. Cue, what triggers it: location, time, feeling. Routine, the zombie mode of doing something else. Reward, that immediate relief or pleasure. And belief, the underlying idea that you can't change it.
So how do we fight the zombies? How do we wrangle this habit?
Okay, the good news, you don't need superhuman willpower, 247. The key pressure point is changing your reaction to the cue. That's where you apply willpower.
Just at that moment of temptation.
Yeah. You need a plan. Develop new routines to replace the old zombie one. Maybe leave your phone somewhere else. Find a dedicated quiet spot. Use website blockers. And the Pomodoro technique is fantastic here.
Right, the 25-minute timer trick.
Exactly. You commit to just 25 minutes of focused work. That's the process, not the huge, scary product. Then you get a reward. It breaks the task down, makes it less daunting, and builds a new routine focused on effort, not outcome.
And the reward part is key, too.
Absolutely. Introduce new, positive rewards right after your focused work. Even just mentally saying, "good job," helps rewire things. Over time, the work itself can become rewarding as you get into the flow, and then there's mental contrasting.
Mental contrasting, what's that?
It's powerful motivation. You vividly picture where you are now, maybe that clunker car eating macaroni and cheese, like the examples in the book, and you consciously contrast that with where you want to be: the doctor, the great vacation, mastering the subject. That contrast fuels your motivation. It reminds you why you're pushing through the temporary discomfort, like Mike Orl thinking about the chicken factory.
Keeps the long-term goal in sight. Okay. But not all delay is bad, right? What about wise waiting? How is that different from procrastination?
Ah, crucial distinction. Wise waiting is pausing strategically before you start to think, to get the big picture, to plan your approach. Experienced problem solvers often do this. They're slower to start because they're analyzing first.
So it's thoughtful delay, not avoidance.
Exactly. Harmful procrastination is avoiding the task because it feels bad, usually by distracting yourself. The intent is key. Are you pausing to think or pausing to escape? This also relates to, say, blindly following passion without thinking rationally about a career. Oakley's story shows passion can follow getting good at something. And like Richard Nadel said, studying 10 hours the day before, that means you already failed because you aren't doing it bit by bit all along.
Patience and consistency beat cramming. Okay, obstacle 2, overconfidence. The book tells the story of Fred, who had a stroke affecting his right brain hemisphere, leading to broad perspective perceptual disorder.
Fred's story is a stark illustration. His left hemisphere, the logical part, would stick to its guns, even when clearly wrong. His right hemisphere, which normally acts like a devil's advocate, checking for inconsistencies, seeing the big picture. It wasn't working properly.
So he lost the ability to see his own errors.
In a way, yes. It shows how easily our brains can cling to what we already think or did. Our focus mode can just glide right over our own mistakes if we don't actively engage that broader critical perspective. We all have potential blind spots.
Which means we often need other people, an outside view.
Definitely. Your own naively upbeat focus mode, as the book calls it, can miss things. Working with others, classmates, friends, instructors, gives you an external diffuse mode. They can challenge your assumptions, catch errors you'd overlook.
Even disagreements can be good.
Research actually shows that teams with some critical interaction, even disagreements about the material, not personal attacks, are often more creative and productive than groups that are just nice and agreeable all the time. You need that constructive challenge. Like Paul Blower's leaving notes on his classmate's door. Simple error checking. Huge benefit.
And this connects to that sociology idea, the strength of weak ties.
Yeah, Mark Granovetter's work. Acquaintances, like classmates you're not super close friends with, often bring more novel ideas or even job leads than your close friends. Why? Because they move in different circles. They expose you to different perspectives. That interpersonal diffuse mode again.
That's really interesting. And there's also that story of Araldo Buddy Saucedo, the math prof, who got kicked out of uni with a .4 GPA.
Incredible story. A .4,
Yeah.
basically failing everything. But he came back, got his degrees. His message is powerful. You are not your grade. And practice makes you better, not perfect. Embrace failure as part of learning. Don't let early struggles define you.
But a warning about study groups.
Right. They need to stay focused on the work. It's easy for them to turn into just social time. Set agendas, make sure everyone is pulling their weight, actually grappling with the problems.
Good point. Okay, final obstacle, and maybe the most empowering idea. Sculpting your brain. Persistence. Santiago Ramon y Cajal's story is central here.
Kyle's story is just phenomenal. Rebellious kid, flunked math and science, ended up in jail briefly.
For blowing up a gate.
Yeah. And yet becomes the father of modern neuroscience, wins a Nobel Prize. His life just screams that you can fundamentally change your thinking, change your brain, change your life. And it's not just a metaphor. It's biological.
It's about actual physical changes, myelin sheaths,
Yeah.
neural highways.
Exactly. When you practice, when you use those neural circuits, you help build up myelin. It's like fatty insulation around the nerve fibers. It makes the signals travel way faster, more efficiently. Practice literally strengthens those connections, builds better highways in your brain.
So you're physically changing your brain structure through effort.
You are literally sculpting your brain. Kitchell put it perfectly. Deficiencies of innate ability may be compensated for through persistent hard work. One might say that work substitutes for talent, or better yet, that it creates talent. That's huge for any learner. Your effort creates talent.
He also noticed flaws in genius, right? That brilliant people could be careless.
Yeah, he felt his own modest powers of understanding, as he put it, were sometimes an advantage. Because he had to work harder to really get the key ideas, he processed them more deeply. He couldn't just parrot info. He had to truly understand it, build solid chunks.
And his drawing was part of that deep chunking.
Absolutely. He drew cells from memory over and over, refining the drawings until they captured the essential truth, the synthesis of what he saw. It was his way of abstracting reality, creating those resonant neural patterns, a blend of art and science.
And surprisingly, having average intelligence or maybe a smaller working memory can actually boost creativity sometimes.
It sounds weird, but yeah, If your mind doesn't lock onto ideas quite so tightly, if your mental pinball machine is a bit looser, it allows more of those diffuse thoughts, those unexpected connections to sneak through. You might be less prone to Einstelling.
Wow. A potential disadvantage turned into a strength. Like Nick Appleyard's story, the slow learner who found programming.
Exactly, labeled a problem child. Struggled in school. But then he discovered computers, got hooked on programming, and that pulled him into math. He developed the interest through doing, through persistence, and built a hugely successful career. It shows passion can be built, not just found. His perceived weakness became irrelevant once he found his path and persisted.
Okay, amazing insight. So we know how to learn, how to build knowledge, overcome hurdles. Now let's talk about mastering the test itself. The moment of truth. Testing is learning, the book says.
Absolutely. Every time you take a test, it's powerful retrieval practice. It strengthens what you know. Dr. Richard Felder, the engineering educator, has this great checklist for test prep. It's basically a roadmap for effective studying.
What's on the checklist? Key things.
It covers the essentials. Did you make a serious effort to really understand the material, not just skim it? Did you work problems with classmates? Did you outline solutions before looking at the answers? Participate in discussions? Ask the instructor questions? Attend reviews? And critically, did you get decent sleep the night before?
Sounds comprehensive. And if you're answering no to a lot of those,
Then, yeah, a poor grade shouldn't be a shock. You haven't done the things that actually build strong, flexible understanding.
okay, solid advice. Now for the test itself, here's a weird one. The hard start, jump to easy technique. Isn't the usual advice to start easy?
It is, but that might not be optimal. Tough problems often need that diffuse mode creativity, right? But you block that when you're hyper-focused. So this technique suggests start with a hard problem, work on it for just a minute or two, intensely, then consciously stop and jump to an easy problem.
Just start it, then leave it hanging. Feels wrong.
Feels wrong, but it works. While you're doing the easier problems, your diffuse mode is working away on that hard one in the background. You guarantee you at least touch every problem. It helps avoid getting stuck, Einstelling. And it's efficient, like a chef juggling multiple pans. The only trick is having the discipline to switch when you get stuck on the hard one initially. Trust the background process.
Okay, I might have to try that. What about test anxiety? So many people struggle with that. See in Biolog's research.
Yeah, Cian Bialik has great insights. Those physical stress symptoms, sweaty palms, racing heart, that's cortisol. But how you interpret them matters hugely. Try reframing. Instead of, this test terrifies me, think, okay, my body's getting ready. I'm excited to show what I know.
Just changing the mental label.
It can make a real difference. Also, deep belly breathing. Simple, but it calms the nervous system. And mindfulness. Recognize anxious thoughts, what if I fail, as just thoughts, not reality. Let them float by. Writing down your fears before the test can also help clear your head. And her advice to just pause for a second before starting a problem, or if you hit a wall, that tiny pause can prevent choking and help you see the best path forward.
Manage the mind, manage the body. Got it. And finally, double-checking your work.
Absolutely critical. Engage your inner devil's advocate. Step back mentally. Ask, does this answer actually make sense? Look for common errors. Dropped minus signs, calculation mistakes, units not matching up. If the units don't work out in an equation, you know you made a mistake somewhere. Trust your intuition too. If an answer feels wildly off, recheck it.
And the golden rule, one last time.
No cramming. Binge studying doesn't build those solid neural structures you need for math and science. Sleep is your friend. A rested brain is a smart brain. Prioritize sleep over that last frantic, usually ineffective hour of cramming.
Wow. Okay, what a deep dive. We've really covered a lot. It's clear that learning isn't just about raw talent or grinding away. It's about understanding how your brain actually works those focused and diffuse modes, chunking, recall, breaks.
And working with those natural processes, not against them, using the strategies. Like Santiago Ramon y Cajal, literally sculpting your own brain through persistent, smart effort. Remember, neuroplasticity is real. You can change how you learn.
And these ideas, they're not just for school, are they?
Not at all. These insights from Oakley's work apply to learning anything new, tackling complex projects, problem solving in any field. It's about becoming a more effective, more capable, maybe even more joyful learner in all parts of life.
It really comes down to that patient persistence combined with the right techniques. I love that Feynman's story about cracking safes, understanding the default settings was the key, not brute force.
That's a perfect analogy for this. Understanding your brain's default settings for learning, that using patient persistence, applying these techniques, that's where mastery and insight come from. Be tenacious, yes, but be smart about how you're tenacious.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you all to think about. If learning is this journey of continuous self-improvement, what thing that you currently see as a limitation, a disadvantage, maybe even an ingrained, I'm just not good at that, could actually be your greatest untapped strength?
hmm What complex challenge are you avoiding that if you approached it differently, using these ideas with a bit of patient persistence might just become your next passion?
Food for thought, deep divers. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.